You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 657.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the week of March 31st, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. It's Juliet and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, another close call between an airliner and a military aircraft near Reagan National in D.C. And an international flight from the U.S. is diverted and delayed because a pilot forgot a passport. Also had more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 657 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the number one all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain, and loving it. And let's see, joining me from her lakeside studio in South, a doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, IPA connoisseur, commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper. It's Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. Very much wishing I was retired. Work has been overwhelming the past couple weeks, but we'll get through it. Glad that I can join you guys this evening.
Great to have you with us as well. And just so that people understand that intro and they are new to the show, backstabbing is a positive thing because you actually push needles into people's backs and squirt stuff in there, right?
To make them feel better.
Make them feel better.
Yes.
Not right away, but...
maybe not right in that moment, but
short-term
pain, long-term gain.
Ah, yeah. That's our producer's voice. We're going to introduce her momentarily. But great to see you, Steph. And also joining us from his studio.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Retired professional dog photographer, former RAF RAAF fighter pilot. Nope, there we go. There, he's taking pictures as we speak. Retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Hi, everybody. We've got a full house tonight. Okay, this show, what are we? 657. Well, yeah. I found an aeroplane, 657. It's the serial number of an F-16. Okay, Juliet 657. Now, the reason I thought it was interesting is because it was in the RNLAF, which is the initials of an Air Force. Answers on a postcard to Captain Jeff. But it not only did it belong to this Air Force, RNLAF, it seems to be a very unpopular aircraft because it arrived on 311 Squadron, was very quickly moved to 323, 314, 316, 323, 313 squadrons, then on to 315, 313, and 311, before moving to 306 Squadron, all part of the RNLAF, before it was finally moved to FACH Grupo 8, which is the Chilean Air Force. So whatever, no one seemed to like it very much and everyone wanted rid of it.
Oh, does anybody want 657? No, give it to somebody else.
That's not a good intro to this show. Everyone's going to want to listen to this show.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So unlike that airplane.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
Very much unlike that. All right. Well, thank you very much for that information, Captain Nick. And also joining us from the swamps of Central Florida, enjoying some fun in the sun. Race car driver, high performance, high altitude tail dragging, complex endorsed commercial instrument rated pilot with an affinity for self-taught haute cuisine and anything with enough horsepower to kill him. It is Alpha Juliet. We like to call him AJ.
Hey Jeff, hey everybody. Really glad to see you guys. Sorry I've been out of loop for a little while, but really glad to be back on. Looking forward to it.
Great to have you back with us. Can't wait to hear what's been going on in your life recently. All right, so we're going to fade that out, and we're going to push this button and introduce from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and it's our producer, the lovely Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. That music just makes me want to stand at attention and salute for some reason. I don't know why.
I love it. I really do.
I think it's almost time for the news, don't you think?
I think you're right, Liz. So
Okay.
let me
Lord for
push
that.
this.
Bye, everybody.
Stand by for news.
Okay, let's see. We're going to start off with another incident up near DC, Washington, DCA airport, national airport. Another close call. Airplanes getting close to each other. And let's go ahead and start off with this video, this audio, I should say, from liveatc.net. And it starts by saying the Delta Airlines A319 performing Flight 2983 from Washington to Minneapolis was on initial climb out when the pilots received an onboard collision avoidance warning.
Delta 2963, 2983, runway 19, clear takeoff, flight runway heading, maintain 5,000.
Runway heading 5,000, clear takeoff, 19.
Okay, clear for takeoff.
Blue Streak 308, contact on departure.
Switching departure, Blue Streak 308.
Previous airplane.
Departure, Blue Streak 308, passing 2,000 for 5,000, heading 170.
Okay, that's departure control.
Blue Streak 308, summit operator contact, maintain flight level 190, heading 090. Heading 090, Blue Streak 308.
Delta 2983, contact on departure.
Delta 2983, switching cadet.
Delta 2983. Delta 2983, can you hold your
Too late.
Delta 2983, 1,800, climate 5,000, runway heading. Delta 2983, summit departure, radar contact, climb maintain 120,000. Climb maintain 120,000, Delta 2983.
all aircraft in the whole day 19, just stand by for a few minutes. We got a temporary stop on departure.
South 2983, clear to elbow. South 2983, go ahead. We had a momentary TCAS alright. Was there an actual aircraft about 500 feet below us as we came off of DCA? South 2983, affirmative. Okay.
Blue 5576, we'll get you back in. The flyby's all done. Appreciate your patience. Sorry I couldn't give you more of a heads up. They increased their time over target, so that's what the vector away from the field was.
Gotcha. Thank you for the heads up, Mr. Dyson.
Somebody screwed up. Yeah, that was not supposed to be handled that way. This from NPR.org. Delta plane and Air Force jet, actually jets, ordered to maneuver to avoid collision near DCA airport. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that the Air Force jets, they were T-38s, I think a four-ship, performing, there were T-38 Talons en route to Arlington National Cemetery. Pardon me? Talons Douglas, yes, I'm sure. No, it wasn't the Douglas variant. No. Let's see. So they were headed for a flyover over Arlington National Cemetery, and to get there, you coming from the south, you kind of have to go like pretty much almost over the top of DCA. Arlington National is very close to that airport. let's see, at 3:15 local time, that Delta Flight 2983 took off from the airport soon after an alert sounded inside the cockpit of the aircraft, indicating that another aircraft was nearby. It did more than that. It actually issued an RA, a resolution advisory, corrective instructions to both aircraft, the agency said. That's interesting. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know what the T-38s have in them. They're configured quite a bit differently. They're much more advanced now than they were when I flew them in the early 80s. So I'd imagine they have at least ADS-B, some kind of collision avoidance system.
Yeah, you were lucky to get an altimeter, weren't you?
We did have an altimeter, yes. Yeah. Or you could just look out the window and go, we're about 500 feet. That's close enough.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Yeah. The FAA said that they're investigating the incident. Delta said its flight crew properly followed instructions from their Traffic Alert and Collision Avoidance System, TCAS. The airline said it will cooperate with regulators to review the incident. Let's see. And of course, they mentioned that this incident comes nearly 2 months after an American Airlines jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided outside of DCA Airport, killing 67 people. In this case, it didn't involve a helicopter. It was the flight. So I don't know about you. It sounds to me like this caught them a little off guard, the ATC folks, when the time over target was updated and moved forward in time. And somebody maybe forgot to tell the people in the control tower at DCA and Potomac Approach Control that, sorry, just had a little something going on my back there on my side. Do
you need some backstabbing?
I do. No, it's on the side, not the back. So we're good.
I'm on my way. I'll be there in 4 hours.
Anyway, so it sounds to me like somebody dropped the ball, didn't advise everyone that should have been advised, and luckily there were no collisions, and that the Delta 319 had the TCAS system on and working, and they followed the corrective actions and avoided a catastrophe. But that is a cute that 319, that Airbus A319 that Liz is showing on the video, which we'll have in the show notes, it's just a tiny little thing. Have you ever seen a 318? That thing looks like a little toy. It doesn't even look like a real
I tried several times to take the 318 flight that used to go from JFK to London City. And several times in a row, something happened where it got canceled or changed, and then they discontinued that service. So it never happened. Yeah, tiny little Airbus.
Yeah, and I think that's the airplane that Delta uses now, the only one that Delta uses to go from Atlanta to, what is it called? One of the Keys, Key West. It has a very short runway, and so that's the airplane now. The performance of the thing is much better in that kind of situation. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think, well, I don't know. So these types of things are, I have a little bit of experience with stuff that involves specific timing over targets, over
dropping,
sometimes in congested areas. Yeah. And sometimes in congested airspace. I would imagine that the type of preparation and paperwork and coordination that goes into a flyby like this would be similar. I'm not 100% certain, but when we do, parachute demonstration events and things like that, we're very much in contact with the controlling agency. We need permission to be in that airspace. There's a lot of paperwork that gets filed in advance. You have to call in advance, usually an hour before the actual intended time of the event, or before you're going to take off. Specific instructions of who you're going to contact in the air. Everyone has to coordinate. There's a lot going on, and I've definitely done it a time or two in fairly congested airspace, and then the coordination gets a little bit. There's just a lot more that goes into it. Sometimes calling even multiple days in advance to make sure that we know who we're going to be talking to, make sure everyone has the appropriate paperwork, because if it's in a lesser congested area, let's just say that sometimes I've called and they've gone, yeah, let me check the files here. And, they didn't know about it in advance. But if it's going to be something high profile, congested area, we definitely want to make sure that everybody knows well in advance of what's going on so we get the timing correct.
We don't hear on the recording, on the VHF frequency. Unless maybe they were talking before this recording started. But I have a feeling that, we didn't hear the T-38 Talons on the same frequency that the Delta and JetBlue flights were on. And that may have been helpful to the other aircraft if they had heard. Maybe the T-38s were using UHF frequency, possibly. I don't know. That may have helped if you, as a pilot, I used to be one. Well, I guess I still am one. Listening to the radio frequencies, that would be interesting and cool to hear, a 4-ship flight about to fly right over or right under you in the case of the Delta jet. But that may have helped the situation. But it just seems like I think it's odd that the controllers seem to be like unaware that this 4-ship had already made it into their airspace and was. Yeah,
I mean, even if the timing changes, that's still pretty highly coordinated. Everybody stays in the loop. So I'm not sure what happened here, but yeah, seems like.
Oh, so our producer is telling us that she might know possibly why this happened. The ATC controllers may have been distracted. This from the Daily Mail. 2 air traffic controllers traded punches when a shocking fight erupted inside the tower at Ronald Reagan National Airport. DailyMail.com can exclusively reveal. You're not going to find it anywhere else. The facility is already under massive scrutiny following January's deadly mid-air collision between an American Airlines flight, actually an Endeavor flight on final approach.
PSA.
That was PSA.
It was PSA.
Right? I'm sorry. I was confusing them with another airline on a final approach and an Army helicopter. Trouble flared again Thursday when a pair of on-duty tower controllers got into a blazing argument before one threw a punch at the other, a source tells us. By the time the brawling colleagues were separated, there was blood splattered all over the control console.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it is dramatic. That kind of paints a picture, doesn't it? The tower would likely have had a supervisor and at least 6 or 7 controllers directing air traffic at the time. The FAA said it's investigating the shocking incident. I've heard of controllers going at it in the parking lot, but this was on a whole new level. Yeah, much higher level. Source told the dailymail.com. The facility is out of control. People are cracking because of what happened in January. Dailymail.com understands that the controllers involved were not working the night that the American Airlines Flight 5342 slammed into the Black Hawk helicopter. Actually, I think it was the other way around, wasn't it? And half a mile short of runway 33. However, they were almost certainly caught up in the aftermath as corpses and wreckage were retrieved from the icy Potomac River, our source explained. All 64 people on board the CRJ 700 regional jet perished, along with the 3-member crew of the helicopter, making it the deadliest aviation accident in recent U.S. history. There was only one controller managing traffic for both helicopters and planes at the same time. Okay, let's get into... okay. Let's go to the update on this in a different article from foxnews.com. An FAA employee charged with assault after an altercation in air traffic control tower at Reagan. Let's see. Damon Marsalis Gaines, 38 years old, was charged with assault and battery in relation to this incident. Politico reported that the suspect works in controller operations. The Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority confirmed the developments to Fox News Digital, explaining that the incident transpired in a control tower on Thursday. The employee is on administrative leave while we investigate the matter. It's unclear what sparked the scuffle. In the previous article, they were talking about the fact that that leadership, according to the source, leadership has not given these people enough support, the air traffic controllers. They never really sent in professionals to make sure that these people were okay mentally, after having had to go through the aftermath of that horrible mid-air collision back in January. So I can imagine that things are tense, yes, in the control
but
tower.
There's nothing really to connect the two incidents, Jeff. That it could be that somebody's sleeping with somebody's wife.
Well, who knows? That collision may have caused that to happen in some way. I don't know.
I mean, seriously, it could have been just, road rage in the car park or something. But
and on top
they
of that,
seem to naturally assume that because there's been a recent midair, that was bound to be the cause. And I'd say, well, not necessarily.
Yeah. On top of that, the baseline stress for controllers right now is through the roof because there's so few controllers.
I agree,
Yeah, they've got such a shortage that they're already overworked, period. So,
That is
give
true.
the guys a break.
It is that's a tough job to begin with when everything is running smoothly, right? Well, now that I'm not flying,
yeah, it's
thank
gotten
you,
better
Liz.
the last year or so.
The skies are much friendlier now. I love you guys too. I know.
And RH is no longer a controller, is he? That must have taken a lot of pressure off everybody else.
That has a lot to do with it. But hey, even if you guys don't really express your love to me the way I think it should be, I know that
We love you, Captain Jeff.
there are some kids over there in England that love me. I do. I play it once an hour on the top of each hour.
That's his ringtone. What are you talking about?
That's a good idea, actually. Okay, let's move on, shall we, to an incident in Vilnius, Lithuania, that we covered after it occurred. This is from the Aviation Herald. It's an update. A kind of an interim report. I don't know if it's technically a preliminary. It's a little short update on, just to remind you, it was the DHL livery 737, I think 400, dash 400.
Yep.
On behalf of DHL. They were performing a flight from Leipzig, Germany to Vilnius, Lithuania, for crew. So they had the two pilots and then two jump seaters. They said they're not sure yet, based on the information that's been released, whether or not they were in the cockpit or not, but there were two other off-duty crew, and I don't even think they were all from the same airline. But anyway, they were basically catching a ride, I think, to Vilnius. They were on final approach, ILS approach to Vilnius's runway 19, maintaining routine communication. ATC handed them off to tower about 4 nautical miles before the runway threshold. And also, just a reminder, everything was kind of really rushed. They were going much faster than normal. They kind of overshot the final. They were clearly behind the airplane. They were fast, too much energy, etc. There was a lot of, it was not a stable approach. And so when they were told to transfer to tower frequency, then something happened there that they dropped the frequency. They couldn't figure out the correct one to use for tower. So there's some more distraction in there. You have all the energy and you're fast and you're trying to get the airplane slowed down enough so you can configure. And they did have the gear down. Yeah, the Funyuns were definitely lining up for sure. On March 26th, 2025, Lithuania's General Prosecution Office stated, that always makes me nervous. Prosecution, stated that the accident likely happened due to a disabled hydraulic system responsible for deploying flaps, according to preliminary investigation results. Oh, I guess this is a prelim then. Other versions were refuted by the data obtained during the investigation. Investigators asked Spanish authorities to question the pilot, a Spanish national. Runway elevation is 647, the last ADS-B position, suggesting a flight level 007, thus indicates 1,020 hectopascals, height of 253 feet when the aircraft on a 3-degree glide path should be a height of 336. So they were not quite 100 feet low, but they were low for sure. And when you get close, that's a pretty significant deviation from the glide slope. Elevation at that point of first impact is 675 feet MSL. The ADS-B data suggest an average rate of descent of 972 feet per minute at an average speed of 149 knots over the ground at impact. So the other thing, and I'm getting this information not necessarily from the Aviation Herald article, but this fine video that Juan Brown, Blanco Lirio channel, which I'll have a link to in the show notes, goes over some of the data from this preliminary report, he's calling it, where it looks like the electric or the hydraulic pumps for the I think they were the engine hydraulic pumps were in the off position, and they're thinking that they were in ice, descending in, flying through icing conditions, and the captain, who was the pilot monitoring, reached up to turn on the anti-icing switches for the engines, and instead turned off the hydraulic switches. And that's the reason why the thing wasn't configured with flaps at all, because those would be required to be on, were required to be on to move the flaps out of the fully up position. So you have an airplane coming down this glide slope, it's very fast, and then, you're trying to slow the airplane down. And that was one of the reasons they're surmising why they couldn't slow down, because they didn't have any drag from the flaps. And they just got to a position where they just lost control of the jet very close to the ground.
What's the pilot flying doing, configuring his own airplane?
I thought he said pilot monitor. The captain.
Well, I think that I don't think he was. I think it was a pilot monitoring, the captain that was doing the switch thing. Yeah,
fair enough.
Well, in the update, they said the investigators in Lithuania were asking the Spanish authorities to question the pilot. So it must have been the pilot that survived, because one of them did not survive.
Yeah, we just don't know which one it was that survived. I don't know. As I said, Juan goes over in a lot more detail than Simon did in his Aviation Herald article and update. But we're going to keep our eyes on that. I'm sure that soon we'll be, or hopefully soon, we'll be seeing more information about this, more detailed information regarding this. So, and I'm not sure if
you've generally sorted it, Jeff. I think it's a rushed approach and mistakes were made. So, yep.
It's never good. Anytime you get yourself into that situation where you're way behind the jet, it's so hard to say, you know what, this is not working. Let's just stop this. Go ahead and, clean up and start climbing and getting away from the ground. Yeah. Okay. This next one is from foxnews.com. Up in Minneapolis, a plane crash near Minneapolis sends home up in flames with no survivors on board. This is from Fox News. Dramatic video captured the aftermath of a home being engulfed in flames. Yeah, actually, there was some Ring video that captured the actual airplane coming down. It's toward the end of this little clip here, so let me go ahead and hit play. And so we're looking above that car in the foreground and above the trees in that little gap. So it's in a spiral dive, I think you would characterize that. And you can also hear and I don't know for the sound of the engine, only in the right channel for some reason, kind of making that. Now, I don't know if that's the engine's RPM changing or that's because the thing is in a spiral. That's probably more likely the reason why we're hearing it kind of surging. But I don't know. I'm not sure how that all works, but I think it's the Doppler effect or whatever. And then, of course, there's some video of the aftermath that crashed into a house. And so here's some video taken of the house on fire. Yeah, one person was in the home and was able to get out and was not, I guess, not injured at all. Yeah. Okay. So it's, I'd say it's heavily engulfed in flames. And so basically it's just going to go on and the fire trucks show up and the police but this obviously is very, very soon after the impact with the home, and it was rapidly being engulfed in flames. Anyway, so sorry, it was a little loud. Yeah. So let me see. Let me read a little bit more to the story. Dramatic video captured. Okay, we talked about that. Brooklyn Park. Again, this is near Minneapolis, Minnesota. Confirmed to Fox 9 that there were no surviving passengers on board the plane. A spokesperson for the Federal Aviation Administration confirmed to Fox News Digital that just before 12:30 p.m., a Cicada TMB-7 crashed in a residential area in Brooklyn Park. We do not yet know how many people were on board, adding that the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board will continue to investigate the crash. The plane departed from Des Moines International Airport in Iowa and was headed to the Anoka County Blaine Airport in Minneapolis. Local police told the outlet that no one inside the home was injured. An update is that Terry Dolan, the vice chair of U.S. Bank, is believed to have been on the small plane that crashed in Brooklyn Park. A spokesperson for the U.S. Bank said the plane was registered to Dolan, who was also the company's chief administration officer. There were no survivors on the aircraft. He said it was not clear how many people were on board. According to FlightAware, the single-prop plane flew from Naples, Florida, and stopped in Des Moines at around 10:30 a.m. The plane took off 45 minutes later. The Cicada TBM 700 left Des Moines at 11:12 in the morning and was scheduled to land in Blaine sometime between 12:11 and 12:28. The plane crashed 6 minutes before its scheduled landing time. So it was awfully close. And that's all we have. Information regarding this. I mean, was it an icing situation and they lost control, or I don't know what happened here. Sounds like the engine.
There's some clues that it wasn't fuel starvation or engine failure.
Yeah, exactly. We know that for sure. But what exactly happened, I guess we're going to have to wait for more investigation to occur.
It's the TBM is the TBM-7's not the fastest of that family, but it is a pretty high performance aircraft. It's a turboprop single engine. I want to say there's 6 or 8 seats. It's kind of the next step down from your own personal jet, basically.
Nice. Well, speaking of high performance, turboprops, or in this case, probably not a turboprop, but a propeller-driven aircraft. AJ, since you're going to have to leave us here very shortly, we're going to do a quick getting to know us update on what you're up to. Obviously, you're not in the normal setting in your home in the forests of suburban Atlanta. You're down in Lakeland, Florida at Sun and Fun. And tell us about how that's going.
Oh, yeah. Tons of fun and lots of sun. The temperature every day this week, the high has started with a number 9. For Nick, that starts with a high 3. So it was very hot all week. It's just been very, very hot, but it's been absolutely gorgeous weather. For many, many years, any trip that I took to Florida was always bookended or split by a giant rainstorm. And I've been here since Monday, and I'm probably jinxing it, but we haven't seen any rain at all. So it's been absolutely gorgeous. Pretty good show. Lots of performances happening. We got to see the smaller of the 2 night air shows last night. So that was pretty incredible. Give me half a second here. I wasn't prepared, so I've got got some pictures I can put up for those joining us on the YouTubes.
For those that aren't aware, Sun and Fun, some people have called it like a sort of not a miniature, but a smaller Oshkosh kind of event.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to Oshkosh, just a little bit smaller scale. Not quite as large, as you say. Let's see. There is us taxiing in, and actually, as you were saying, Jeff, we did fly in a turboprop this year. It's a Malibu Mirage conversion with a jet prop DLX. So it actually has the same engine as that TBM we were just talking about.
Oh, so the TBM that we saw crash was a turboprop then?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a PC-6 powered airplane.
Okay.
same engine, a little bit different different variation on the TBM from what we have, but that's what we flew in there, the old yellow jacket.
Yeah, I think we've seen that before.
Yep.
With the
I've had the
distinctive paint job.
Been very lucky, very distinctive. Yes, everybody recognizes it. But been very lucky. Had the opportunity to fly that a few times. Got to come down with Larry and have some fun in the sun, as they say.
Yeah.
We got this amazing house. I'm actually cooking for our group tonight, so that's part of why I got to run. I got a whole bunch of steaks ready to go on the stove. So. Exactly. So, but this kitchen is absolutely incredible.
Oh man,
place.
It's amazing.
Back to the air show. So we got nice heritage formation flights. Kind of hard to see. I wonder if I can zoom that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But that is P-51 there in the center, and then you have a F-22 and an F-6, or excuse me, an F-35 and an F-16. So that was really, really neat to see that those guys flying. Really incredible. They've done heritage flights most every day. Here's the video.
Oh, nice.
Flyby.
Very cool. Or under.
Or under it, right?
Yeah, I just saw an A319 go 500 feet over it. Yeah. Sweet. Ooh, look
this
at
is
that.
some stuff from the night air show. So really amazing laser show in the background. They had, there's our dinner. These are not in order.
Oh, that look good.
As you can see. Yeah, we'll get back to those. Part of the night air show is this really, really amazing performance by this guy in a jet-powered glider. So it is a glider that they have attached 2 jet engines to, and then strapped a whole bunch of fireworks to it, including these things on the wings, which are spark shooters. Absolutely incredible. There's the twin jets on either side of the glider.
Nice.
There's him flying through at night, doing all kinds of incredible aerobatics with just fireworks and things going off all over the place. It was really, really incredible. If anybody hasn't ever had the chance to see a night air show, you need to put that on your list. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then, as I mentioned, I'm cooking dinner for the crew, so got a whole bunch of. There's your protein bar, Steph. Yeah, it's four of us. Yeah.
4 people.
That protein looks better than the protein bars I was consuming earlier.
Yeah. So yeah, we got that. We got another one of our guys is cooking some shrimp etouffee. It's going to be quite the feast. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, it's the idea.
Very
and then I've got
looking great.
Last weekend, I actually got to go and do a really neat event with Bonanzas and do some formation flying. And a friend of mine, this was his first ever experience to do formation flying, and he wants to be part of an event called the Bonanzas to Oshkosh, where they fly 130 or 140 Bonanzas all in formation to a mass arrival into Oshkosh.
Wow.
Really, really cool event.
What can possibly go wrong?
You have to, exactly. Well, so the Bonanzas do it. The Moonies do it. They have their own mass arrival. The Cirruses do it, but theirs is easy because they just come down on parachutes. The Cessnas to Osh also has a mass arrival. But Bonanzas is a really, really well put together program. Absolutely awesome to get to be a part of it. We had our TCAS going off, which I thought was kind of funny the whole time. I don't know if it's kind of a little blurry, but you guys can see that.
Yeah, traffic.
So the airplane was upset that there was another airplane right there. And got to do some element landings and things like that. Little quick video. I can speed it up a little bit.
Nice.
But actual, simultaneous on the same runway formation landing. And this is the pilot in this airplane is my friend. This is his first time ever doing anything like this, and he's got a safety pilot in the right seat. That we're doing some training and some learning. But it was absolutely incredible to watch him go through the process and learn all of the ins and outs of formation flying and stuff. So that was a fun, very fun event. So yeah, it's been airplanes, and airplanes since I've talked to you guys last. So hopefully
awesome.
We'll get a little time off. And
was he supposed to take the lead there?
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey,
I noticed the same thing. I'm thinking, I don't think they're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, he got a little acute, as they say. So yeah, he.
Old part of the
exactly. Yeah, and I'm hoping to. I shouldn't be putting this out in the world because then someone will hold me to it. But I have a lot of video and a lot of audio from that event that I want to try to cut together into some sort of a little kind of mini documentary thing for him, because I got all of his briefings and all of the big briefings and the flights and everything from a bunch of different angles. So I've got actually a couple terabytes of data that I have to crank into a very small amount of time. So that was maybe a big bite that I took, but we'll see what happens. So,
hey Liz, do we still have the news item about the Bonanza with the door coming open? I know we don't have time to cover it on today's show, but maybe we can cover that again, or not again, but in a future show, because I was kind of curious as to not only you, but also Camacho, because he flies basically a Bonanza, the Debonair, very similar.
Yeah, interesting things happen when that door pops open inside the cockpit.
I know for some reason, or for some airplanes, it's no big deal. But other airplanes, it's a huge deal, right? If it pops open on a 172 or a 150 or something like that, like whatever. I mean, it's probably already popped open, right? So to cool things down.
Yeah, it's open on
exactly.
purpose.
Yeah, possibly.
Like air conditioning.
Or Steph's airplane, the doors are open all the time.
The door's always open. Yeah. Like, what are these doors that close?
Yeah.
We actually have a speed rating on the 172s that you can open, that you can have the windows open while you fly.
Yeah.
From Cessna. So
nice.
That's the thing. But we can talk about that. There is some pretty interesting stuff about what happens inside of a cockpit of a Bonanza.
Yeah. All right. Very good. We kept kind of pushing that, from show to show, because I wanted to be sure that we would talk about it with some GA people, and kind of the significance of that event. Okay, very good. Well, you need to go and cook some steak and other good food for these fine folks down there at Sun and Fun. Thank you for taking some time out from the festivities to be with us today, AJ.
Absolutely. It's really, really great to see you guys, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon.
Cheers, all right. Oh, and don't forget to send some of that stuff to me so we can put it in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely. I will.
Okay. Very good. Bye. All right. This next one is some ATC aircraft audio from liveatc.net in video format, which we'll have a link to in the show notes. But we're going to go ahead and play it so we can hear what happened on this. And that's about all the information that I have to tell you. The headline says pilot, father, and mom. So the father was the pilot and the mom black out mid-flight. The air traffic controllers guide the daughter to safe landing. So, I gave away the ending. Darn it. Okay, here we go. Of course, here we go.
Manchester, this is November 9132 Victor, and the pilot of the plane is not well. If we have to go back to Laconia, please help me.
November 9932 Victor, Boston approach. What's your position right now?
We just left Laconia. We were headed west, and probably I'm over I-93.
Okay, and what was your, do you have a problem right now? Is that what your request is?
Pilot of the plane is not well. He's very, I don't know what. I can't tell you what happened. He just is not responding at all.
9932 Victor, Roger. Squawk 5171 on the transponder. 5171.
5171. I'll try to change that over. Thank you. Squawking 5171.
Sounds like she's done this before.
November 9932 Victor, this is Boston approach. How are you doing?
I'm fine. My father, who is the pilot of the plane, is not really responding. He cannot talk very well, and he's not doing well.
Okay, November 9932 Victor. Do you have any experience at flying the airplane yourself, ma'am?
I've flown a Warrior. I've never flown a Malibu.
Okay, well, they're very similar, and we're going to do the best we can to help you right now. Can you are you familiar with any of the functions of the airplane, like the transponder and stuff?
The transponder, yes. The code, the frequency code.
Okay, November 9932 Victor, yes. Okay, yeah, we've got a good reply on your transponder and stuff. What would be your request? Are you familiar with the Laconia Airport at all?
Yes, I just took off from the Laconia Airport, and I'm actually not too far away from it. I'm way too high right now, but I need to get on the plane, on the floor, and I need an ambulance to meet us there.
Okay, and November 32 Victor, how many other souls are on board the airplane, and how much, I'm assuming you have plenty of fuel since you were en route somewhere.
We're in Utica. We have plenty of fuel, and my mother's on board, and she's trying to help my father right now, but he's kind of swatting her away.
Okay, very good. And is he going to inhibit your ability at all to fly the airplane?
He has no ability at all.
Okay, very good. November 32 Victor, can you are you able to turn the airplane to a heading? Will you be able to turn the heading, aircraft to a heading of 330? That'd be a left turn.
I can turn the plane to 330. Hang on, I got it.
Okay, very good. Turn the plane to a heading of 330 and advise me when you're on that heading.
I think I'm about 330. Sorry, that's code, hang on.
Okay, November 32 Victor, that's fine. Just advise me on that heading. And I don't know how familiar you are with the airplane, but do you know how to slow the airplane up, reduce the throttle settings and prepare the aircraft for landing?
No, no. I have not flown the plane. I know we've got landing gear that I have to get down. I can see it, but it's going to take me a little bit to go through this. So no, I don't know much about the Malibu.
Okay, November 32 Victor. I see that you've made that turn here, so that reassures me that you have control of the airplane. And I'd like you to maintain your present altitude and continue your turn to a heading of 270. I'm going to try to give you a little bit more space so maybe we can work through some of the details of preparing the aircraft for arrival. So turn left to a heading of 270.
270, maintaining altitude.
And November 32 Victor, in our effort here to try to ascertain what will be the best thing, do you think that landing at Laconia would be the best thing for you versus some other larger airport?
Laconia is long enough to land the plane. It's like over 5,000 feet, so Laconia would be the best, and ambulance to Laconia Hospital would be the best.
Okay, very good. We're already speaking with people on the ground as far as arranging an ambulance to arrive at the Laconia Airport. November 32 Victor, do you know where the gear selector knob is?
Gear selector knob, no.
Okay, the landing gear. Well, first thing is November 32 Victor, there is some traffic out there at your 1 o'clock position and 3 miles. The altitude on the aircraft that is converging with you is 3,700 feet.
Okay, I have them on the radar.
Okay, November 32 Victor, just keep an eye on that there. And on the instrument panel, generally somewhere around the center of the console, there's a knob. It kind of looks like a, sometimes it looks like a lifesaver. You know, it's kind of round and it has a round edge. You know, the edge, it's like a big circle about 1.5 inches in diameter, and it has the gear selector is attached to that.
Is that the landing gear down?
Yes, that would be the landing gear down lever. Do you see that?
Affirmative.
Okay, November 32 Victor, can you tell me your altitude? I'm not receiving your mode C at present.
I'm at 4,700 feet.
Okay, November 32 Victor, roger, and turn left heading of 180.
Left to 180.
And November 32 Victor, do you have a good view of the airspeed indicator from your position in the cockpit?
Yes, I have I have one right in front of me.
Okay, very good. Now, you say you're familiar with flying the airplane in the respect that, well, you're not familiar with flying the Malibu, but you have flown a Cherokee in the past, correct?
I've flown a Warrior, Piper Warrior.
Okay, a Piper Warrior. Okay, one of the things that we're looking at right now is the wind at Laconia is basically out of the west, 290 at 7 and gusting to 16. So the best thing would be to bring you in to the airport from the eastern side and have you arrive to the airport straight into runway 26. Do you concur with that?
I concur. That's how we took off. Concur.
Okay, very good. Now, one of the things is I want to try to go through is ensure that you have the ability to control the airplane and slow the speed up. You have the throttle control. You understand how that works?
Yes, I have the throttle and the prop RPM in the mixture.
Okay, November 32 Victor. And at present, it looks like you're eastbound. If you would, could you fly heading a 090?
090.
And November 32 Victor, one of the things that we're trying to work with is the fact that, the fact that you're on the clearance delivery frequency will help us a lot because radio communications, sometimes we lose on the other side of the mountain, but because you're on the clearance delivery frequency, that's going to help us a lot in maintaining two-way communications with you. Continue on a heading of 090. This is a vector for a downwind for runway 26 at Laconia.
Okay, continuing for downwind 26, Laconia.
And November 32 Victor, that previous issue target is still out there. He's at your 11 o'clock now. In about a mile and a half. It's southeastbound. Altitude indicates 3,100. It'll be passing beneath you.
Okay, I'm on the radar, but I haven't spotted him, but I'll keep an eye out for him. Thank you.
And November 32 Victor, as far as extending the landing gear and flying the airplane, would you like to try to practice that before we set you up for arrival at Laconia?
Yeah, well, I think once I get I think I'm down at landing gear where I can put it down and leave it down.
Okay, November 32 Victor, so you would like to extend the landing gear at this point and just continue flying the airplane with the gear extended?
That's affirmative.
Okay, November 32 Victor, Roger. Why don't you extend the landing gear now and just give me advised when you have 3 green light indications.
Well, I have 3 green lights, so the landing gear he must not have put up the landing gear to begin with. So I have 3 green lights right now, left and right.
Oh, okay, very good. So you're flying the airplane with the gear extended. Okay, very good. And as far as operating the throttle, this particular model, this is not a turbine aircraft, is it? It's a regular gas engine?
Regular gas engine, yes.
Okay, very good. Well, you're doing good, flying heading at 090. I'm going to continue you on that heading for probably a few more miles. I'm trying to work several different issues here as far as our radar coverage, and I want to ensure that you have a good visual on the airport before I allow you to descend down any further.
I need to get down too. My mother is, something's really weird. I mean, she's flopping over like a doll now. I got 2 of them that are just both of them are flopping over.
And November 32 Victor, what was that last part you said?
My mother is also not responding to me.
Okay, very good. November 32 Victor, turn left to a heading of 060.
060.
And November 32 Victor, can you open some kind of window in the airplane? I don't know if you're suffering from some type of carbon monoxide poisoning in the aircraft.
Hang on a moment.
Yeah, open some kind of vent. Open the side vent or something.
Both side vents are open.
Okay, the side vents are open. Okay, thank you. And November 32 Victor, are you able to descend the airplane down to 4,000 feet?
Descending to 4,000.
Okay, November 32 Victor, so you should be over the lake at this point, is that correct?
Correct, I'm almost to the furrow.
Okay, very good. So you're very familiar with the area, so you know if you continue northbound from here, maybe you're heading at 360, you're going to see Wolfboro, and then the Laconia Airport will be off your left side by about, I'm going to say you're 9 o'clock and about 7 to 8 miles.
Correct, I have the Laconia Airport in sight.
Okay, November 32 Victor, Roger. With the gear extended, why don't you start your descent down now to, say 2,500 feet.
Descending to 2,500 feet.
November 3-2 Victor, one of the most important things is you remember when the airplane does get on the ground that you're, and I'm assuming that you're familiar with this since you've flown a Cherokee before, is to use the brakes as soon as the airplane lands.
Okay, use the brakes as soon as I land.
Yes, don't let the airplane start freewheeling down the runway. You don't want to lose control of it. Once the airplane touches down on the runway, and based on your experience from flying a Cherokee before, just keep it aligned with the center line when it does land, but do ensure that you step on the brakes and slow the airplane down to a complete stop, and then pull the mixture out as soon as the airplane gets on the ground and stop the engine, because you don't want to have the engine running or have it impede anybody's ability to access the airplane and provide assistance to your parents.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, very good. So November 3-2 Victor, you have the airport in sight, and you're in a gradual descent. At this point, would you like to add maybe 10 degrees of flaps?
Flap,
Okay, if you're not familiar with the flaps, then don't be too concerned with that. But say your airspeed.
Airspeed 130.
Okay, why don't you start pulling the throttle back a little bit, maybe a couple of hundred. Well, do you go by manifold pressure on that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay, reduce the manifold pressure to about 20 inches and start slowing the airplane down.
Okay, where's manifold pressure? Where is that?
Well, actually, why don't you just pull the throttle back, the black knob. Pull the black knob back out till the engine starts to slow down a little bit. Just listen to it by sound.
Airspeed down to 120.
Okay, very good. Just pull the throttle back a little bit more and start slowing the airplane. Now, when the airplane does land, you're probably going to be going very fast. So, like I said, just apply the brakes as soon as you can get the airplane. As soon as the airplane touches down on the runway, you're about 2 miles from the airport. Are you able to reduce the throttle a little bit more and just slow the airplane up?
All right, I'm almost at minimal throttle here.
Okay. Well, just if the airplane starts to, you want to keep a good look on the airspeed indicator. You don't want to slow down too much because you don't want to stall the airplane, but you do want to try to slow it down the best you can so when it gets on the ground, you're not going way too fast.
You know what the landing speed is for this plane?
I have no idea what the landing speed is, but I wouldn't slow any slower than 100 knots.
Okay, no slower than 100 knots.
And just so you know, everyone there is awaiting your arrival.
Thank you.
And 3-2 Victor, how far are you from the runway right now?
It's in sight. Maybe half a mile.
Okay, very good. So you're lined up with the runway. You've got your hand on the throttle. Just pull the power back a little bit more if you need to slow the airplane up. Just line it up with the center line of the runway. How is your altitude looking?
I'm at 170 and descending.
November 3-2 Victor, how far from the field now?
A couple hundred yards.
Okay, just advise me when you're on the ground.
On the ground.
And November 3-2 Victor, and apply the brakes. Have you come to a complete stop?
Yes, I'm at a stop. Thank you very much. Here's the fire department. Thank you very much.
3-2 Victor, Roger, very nice work. Make sure that you stop the engine. Pull the mixture out, the red knob all the way out.
The engine has been cut. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice afternoon.
You too. Thank you very much.
Wow.
That's amazing. I'm so impressed with both of them. That was fantastic.
So part of on the video, they have some narrative a little bit here and there during this whole sequence. And they mention that the fact that not only is the air traffic controller an air traffic controller, but he's also a certified flight instructor. And so, wow, I mean, that worked out well for her. And
worked out well, but you don't expect to have to be giving someone flight lessons, from outside the airplane and in an aircraft that they're not familiar with, you're not overly familiar with. There's a lot going on there, but I think he had some very, very good, he was able to assess pretty quickly that she at least had some decent amount of flying experience. She knew the basics enough to be able to put his instructions to good use.
I was surprised it took so long for him to ask what her airspeed was. I mean,
I know, I was thinking that.
The whole time I'm going, well, maybe we missed that part of it. Maybe they didn't put that into the video or whatever, but I'm thinking that would be an important piece of information that I would want to know. But toward the end
the other thing too is I think at the very beginning she was so flustered by the medical emergency occurring too. Mostly it was, hey, make sure we get you calmed down first so that we can talk you through all of this.
And so it was like she was two different people there. At the beginning, it was like, oh, this person's never been in an airplane before. And then all of a sudden you're going, well, it sounds like she's an experienced pilot to me toward the end. The way she was talking on the radio.
No, you're quite right, Jeff, but not that experience because, it didn't flow. It didn't, the terminology just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. She obviously knew something, but huge gaps, I suspect, in her knowledge, particularly with this airplane. So very, very well done for both of them to just keep their cool and do the right stuff and just concentrate on the basics to get the airplane safely on the ground. I was just absolutely amazed how well they both did. And towards the end, they're almost like joking with each other, bouncing off each other. It was really good rapport that he built up with her so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Steph, you were saying some more?
Oh, I was going to say, I think the reason why she sounded maybe better than you would expect for someone who, the information that we have is that she doesn't have a license. She's not certificated, but has flying experience. These are her parents that she's with. So I suspect that she's perhaps flown a lot with them in the past. So she's obviously very bright. She can, you pick up on a lot of the communications, you figure out, how to do all of that back and forth and do it in a way that's succinct and makes sense. So, but still well done to her. That's a very stressful situation to be in with your parents, obviously both experiencing medical emergencies. You're in an airplane you're not familiar with and aren't a licensed pilot yourself. So yeah, well done. Couldn't agree more. That was a fantastic job for both of them.
Yeah, they didn't follow it up with anything regarding, exactly what happened to them, but carbon monoxide definitely could have been a thing. And it was good that he made this suggestion that she open up the windows or vents to get, the air diluted a little bit. Tim Van Ram says best button she knew was the push to talk button. No kidding. I mean, we just take that for granted. Like you just push this little button right here and then you're talking outside the aircraft. And a lot of people, that have never had a flying lesson wouldn't necessarily know that that's even a thing. And the other thing I was imagining this, she's in the right seat, her father in the left seat, and her mother must have been sitting in the next row of seats or right behind the father and trying to, get him to come to or, whatever she was trying to do to help him. I was thinking, what if she was the one sitting behind her father and her mother was in the co-pilot seat? I mean, talking about a way different outcome likely in this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had the same thought.
So it was really a good thing that she was sitting in the right seat. Again, assuming that that's what the deal was. This next one here from the Los Angeles Times, latimes.com. A China flight was diverted and delayed after the pilot forgets his passport. This is from Vernon. She says, Dear APG crew, in case you missed it, here's a screenshot of a story that just came across my phone. You haven't heard much from me lately, but I'm still a loyal APG addict. Thank you, Vernon. We had no doubt. We knew you were out there. We love you. From Fort Morgan, Colorado. He's a former ATC controller and flight instructor. I mean, he's got all the boxes checked in the world of aviation. And he's a nice guy to boot for sure. Yeah, I got a chance to meet him in person in Maine, of all places, believe it or not. Anyway, on March 22nd, United Airlines Flight 198 departed Los Angeles on its trip to Shanghai. 2 hours into the flight, the Boeing 787 abruptly performed a U-turn. I bet it wasn't that abrupt. They probably made a nice, smooth U-turn.
You know, like a
over the Pacific. The reason? Well, as the sheepish and frustrated pilot admitted to the passengers over the intercom, he had left his passport back in Los Angeles. Whoops. Okay, so let's see. A United Airlines spokesperson confirmed that the pilot did not have their passport on board for the scheduled flight from Los Angeles to China. The plane was diverted to San Francisco and delayed for more than 3 hours. Processing valid documentation is the second item on the State Department's checklist for U.S. tourists traveling internationally. It's required for pilots, too, as an estimated 257 passengers found out the hard way last weekend. The plane landed in San Francisco at 5:05 p.m., delayed more than 3 hours before taking off again. The United spokesperson said the airline arranged for a new crew to fly the passengers out. The new 13-member crew was installed and the flight took off. Come over here and install this crew. Took off at 8:28 p.m., landing at 12:48 a.m. local time on Monday. Passengers were provided meal vouchers and undisclosed compensation for their delay. Let's see, Reddit users who said they were on the flight, they were given $15 meal vouchers and were told the airplane was diverted due to unexpected crew-related issues. United did not respond to questions regarding what would have happened had the pilot landed in China without a passport, or if there are any measures in place to verify crew paperwork prior to departure. So that's my big, that paragraph right there is the big one in my opinion. Thankfully I've never been in a situation where I was traveling internationally and I did not have my passport with me, but I have flown trips where my certificate and both medical and what do you call it? The ATP certificate were not on my person. And there was a procedure at Delta for, getting a copy of it from Oklahoma City and have it faxed. I know back in the old days, I don't know if they still fax things, probably not, but they faxed it to the chief pilot's office, and then they had somebody run it to me at the airplane. And so there was a backup procedure for that, but then we're talking passport here in a different country. So I'm not sure. I don't have any experience with this. Nick, have you ever encountered this situation or have heard of anybody encountering the situation? Is this kind of the thing where you just can't go, or, how does that work? You're muted.
I did that on purpose.
What, left your passport?
Muted. No, it happens quite regularly. You think about the number of crew there are on the average in a long-haul airplane. Someone's going to forget their passport eventually. There's usually, if you've got a well-organized station manager at your destination, usually they can sweet talk the locals around to allowing you to get through using your ID card and the captain's assurance that this is part of your crew. And there may be some restrictions on that person's travel while they're in the country. They may not be able to leave the hotel or whatever. But generally speaking, it depends on the country. Now, China, of course, is a wee bit difficult, and that can be slightly awkward. So what I would say is that you just send another first officer on the next flight, because you're going to land and then you're going to take 24 hours probably of rest before you try and fly home. If there's another flight inbound, you could put a fresh first officer on that flight who could passenger out, and he could take the seat of the first officer or the pilot that forgot their passport. The pilot that lands without a passport, well, they can turn around, get straight on the airplane or stay on the airplane. They don't even have to leave the airplane. Mm-hmm. And the next crew can come on and take them back to America. They've stayed airside, so they haven't gone into the country yet because they haven't passed through immigration. So that would be kind of what I'd be tempted to do. Denied entry, stayed at the airport, take the next flight out. But exactly right, Ed. That's exactly what I would say. So long as you've got either an in-country, a spare pilot to take his place in the cockpit and join the crew that have now a missing man, or you can fly someone else out. That's the way this sort of thing is normally dealt with. If you can't sweet talk the locals to let them in, so usually there's a better way of solving this than turning the aeroplane around.
I suspected that too. I'm thinking, really? They turned the entire flight around?
Yeah.
I'm sure they weighed all these different possibilities and options before they made the decision to do that. But still, I'm thinking there's got to be a better way to
it
handle
kind
the
of depends
situation.
on how often how regularly you fly to that city, and whether you've got a crew there waiting, perhaps two crews there who might be able to fill a slot and shuffle people around. But and as the other, John Harris would have kept his mouth shut until he landed.
I would have kept my mouth shut.
That's great, yeah. And you pitch up at immigration and say, "Oh no,
I don't know where it went. Must have dropped it on the
It was with me
tarmac."
when I got on the
lost it.
airplane,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
It must have,
Obviously.
it was like,
And
I don't know, the airplane ate it.
so pre-flight prep. I mean, I would imagine that there's a procedure to kind of like check everybody's documentation before you go out to the
there's only
jet.
three things
So-
you need when you leave your house. That's your ID card, your passport, and your license.
Well, I've left my
and
ID
your
at home.
underpants.
I've never forgotten that on purpose.
Yeah. So if you got those three
So-
things, then you're golden.
Usually, if I'm flying internationally, there's a procedure for most airlines just to scan your passport too. Like you have to present your passport to the gate agent. Sometimes
Yeah, but
it
that
can
doesn't happen
scan.
for the crew.
But
Yeah,
I
crew
was going to
don't-
say it doesn't.
crew
I don't
don't
think it
need
happens
to
for
do
the
that.
crew, but maybe that's not a terrible idea.
No,
No,
but
you're right. But you do sign. Well, we used to have to sign a piece of paper when we arrived, stating that we can confirm we had all the, because they treated you like adults, unlike most passengers who take half their brain out when they arrive at the airport and they put it in their hand luggage and don't use it again
Just
until
half?
they
It
land.
goes in the trunk of their car. They don't even use it when they're on the airport property driving around.
Yes, the pilots are assumed to keep their faculties with them at all times. So I'm a bit disappointed.
I was thinking the same thing, Tim Van Ram, in our live chat. Tom Hanks' movie Terminal comes to mind. Yeah, he lived in the terminal for quite some time. Ed Kof says, Delta pilot flying to China, have a second passport with a Chinese visa. Yeah, have a backup passport.
Well, I always had two passports because I was a dual national. I just held up three fingers there. I do
I'm worried about your
apologise.
counting skills, but at least you had enough passports to satisfy
How
me.
much beer have
Don't
you
look
had
at the
today?
video. Yeah, I always had, because I was a dual national. So I always flew with two passports. So if I left one behind, then hopefully I would have had my second one with me.
Would it have helped at all if you had like a photo of it in your iPhone or your
Well,
Android
I did
phone?
actually always do that because, yes, in some countries, they would have gone, all right, fair enough, but don't do it again. We'll let you in this one time because, quite honestly, you've got your rest of the crew to confirm that you are who you say you are. You've got your crew ID, which is in the vast majority of countries we went to, was sufficient. You never needed to actually show your passport. You accessed using just your crew ID. So it wasn't really a problem. But no, you're right. It's a bit like leaving your license behind. No one ever asked to see your license unless you're on a line check, and then the check captain would ask to see it. Or you the FAA came on board and gave give you one of those nasty checks they did, because they used to check all the documentation. I only ever had one of those in 25 years. So
oh, lucky you. I had a lot more than
I've
that.
I've had one, and it
Oh,
has
really?
I've had one.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I was
ramp check?
trustworthy looking, you see. That I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Well, to
Wouldn't
be fair,
go
they were
that far.
checking all of the aircraft at this event, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, I work for a
understand.
trustworthy company then. I don't know about the rest
So,
of you guys.
Tangentially related, about having a photo, excuse me, a picture of your ID on your phone. I have pictures of my passport, my driver's license, all the important documentation that I could possibly need. I found out that if you do not have those documents when you try to travel domestically within the United States, if you're a citizen here, the TSA does not care to see any of those pictures. They have their own set of screening measures to make sure they can prove that you are who you say you are, and then allow you to fly
interesting.
anyway. Just be aware that process takes quite a bit of time. And
Do you have experience with that?
Maybe.
Okay.
My wallet fell out of my pocket in an Uber the night before on the way from dinner back to the hotel. Yeah, and
So for
but I
24
had
hours,
to-
you weren't aware.
No, I was aware of it as soon as I got out of the Uber
Oh.
because my hotel key was in the wallet, and I went to get my wallet out of my pocket when I got up to the room, and I went,
Where's that?
uh-oh. And it turns out this Uber driver, that was the last one he was doing for the night, and then he had gone out like with his friends or something. I had a tile, like a tracker in my wallet, and I could see it moving in his car all around town for like the next few, and like I sent messages through the app
to
and other
various
things. He eventually got it the
brothels
next
and-
morning, but he had signed out of the Uber app, so he didn't see it until the next morning, at which point I had already left,
damn.
but it did get back to me, so
Oh, good.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
I made
And
sure
well done to
left him a
him
very nice
too.
tip for that. Yeah, he was very good to get it
The
back. but
last thing
slightly
that I have, or last question I have, is that how many hours into the flight? 3 hours into the flight?
several hours, yes.
Or a few hours. At what were they doing? What triggered his mind like, oh, do I have my passport? Or were they having some kind of conversation about passports, or did the captain go, hey, just to make sure, let's see everybody's documentation so we don't, a little bit late for that. But I'm just kind of curious why all of a sudden it happened out over the Pacific, and not
I'm guessing
when they arrived
the
in
pilot who
China.
forgot their passport had a moment of, I put everything here, and like I remember putting my passport down here, but I wonder if I actually put it in my bag like I thought I did. I bet that's really what happened, because that happens to me a lot. I go, I had this in my hand earlier today and I put it down somewhere, and now I'm not sure where it ended up.
Said, I've got this passport.
That's a possibility.
It was found. Yeah. Maybe it was found
so-
at the airport. Maybe he did take it with him and dropped it, or left it at home, and his wife
That
found
takes
it.
away the option of saying when you get on the ground in China, oh, I don't have it. Dang it. They figured it out before.
Well, I managed to leave home 3 times without my ID. And, you can manage better without your ID because your passport still proves who you are. But I turned around and got back home, grabbed it and set off again. But it was just, 20 minutes down the road. I'm just thinking through everything that I would normally have. And I looked down, and there on my shirt was no ID. Oh, no. On one time, Julie had to grab it for me and drive to the airport.
I've shared on earlier episodes. I've confessed. It was at least 2 times, maybe 3, before 9/11. I actually realized either en route or when I got to the airport that I did not have my ID. And guess what? Things weren't as secure as they were after 9/11, for sure. And I flew entire trips, 3-4 day trips without an ID on my shirt. All right. Time to get to know us. Time of the show where we kind of get caught up. We already did a little bit with AJ before he had to leave and do the cooking. for the crew there at Sun and Fun, but still leaves a couple of us here that can share some stuff about what we've been doing between episodes. And Dr. Steph, yeah, we haven't heard from you in a while.
You'd like to think that what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks since I was last on the show is interesting, but
I'm sure it is to someone. Yeah,
I did. I do have the Chicago information. I didn't send you the photos, but I did do a separate album here of their photos. So these are some of the race pictures. Yeah. They're not in the right order. So this is actually very near the end of the race. I think I was saying last time, I don't know what it is about St. Patrick's themed races where they have to be a weird distance, because the one I ran in Charlotte the weekend prior to this was 7 kilometers, and this race is 8 kilometers. Had a very good race, similar time to the previous weekend, about 7-minute 45-second miles pace. So really happy with that. This is rounding the last corner, probably about just under a kilometer to go here, because it's the same start and finish almost as the Chicago Marathon. So this is the last stretch on the Chicago Marathon course, where normally you would come from the other direction on Michigan Avenue and you turn to the east towards the lake there, going up Roosevelt. And it's like the only little hill on the course. And if you're looking at this going, that's not a hill, I know it's not a hill, but Chicago is so flat that it's like demoralizing when you get there. So you have to run up this hill, and then you turn left back into Grant Park, and that's the finish there. So I saw the photographer, because, race expert, looking out for the photographers on course so you can get your good race picture. This is my brother Joe. He ran with me. We're doing a bunch of races in Chicago this year, so that's after the race. It was not warm. You can see I went from not overly dressed to back to all my coat, and like I said, these are a little out of order. This was after the fact. Liz asked if I was wearing shorts, and I said yes, I was. So I sent a picture of my.
What was the temperature?
It was 37 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's
5 degrees above zero.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So nice photographs, and that's going up Michigan. Or going
in fact,
up
it looks like there's
well,
snow on the road there.
It's salt, because there had been snow earlier that week. So there's still remnants of salt on the road.
Fair enough.
That's
Good
after
job.
the race. So, yeah, I think those were all the ones I have. So
Excellent.
Well done.
It was fun. I'll be back in Chicago, not this weekend, the following weekend for a half marathon, which we're not going to really race. I'm just going to run it with one of my best friends, and we're just going to enjoy each other's company and see some of the suburbs.
If you run a half marathon and it's not a race, what is it?
Well, it's a race, but we're not going to we're going to use it more as a workout.
You're not going to race in a race.
We're going to use it as a workout for ourselves. We're not going to rush. We're going to enjoy it. The only goal is to finish.
So you're going to stroll it. Okay, fair enough.
This one's a workout for upcoming races after that fact.
Okay.
But then I'll be back in Chicago for races in May and June, and again in June, and then October. So, yeah.
Can't get enough of those Portillo's hot dogs.
Oh, Italian beef sandwiches and hot dogs. After the race, after this 8K that we did not run to the pub, but we did go to Lou Malnati's, and we had a giant deep dish pizza with sausage. Oh, it was so good.
Sounds good.
And I don't know how I've been staying at the Hilton in Chicago for so many years and not realized that there's a Lou Malnati's less than a quarter mile away on State Street. Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
I had no idea for some reason, but it was great. Good weekend. Last weekend, I didn't do anything. I had some family time. I got my taxes done. I've been working a lot. It's a lot of after work meetings. I'm glad to have my taxes done. That was good. It's going to be more of the same with a lot of work for the next couple months. Unfortunately, we have a lot going on with new offices being built and partnerships with healthcare systems and new people coming on board and changing up our medical record system. And somehow I'm on meetings for all of these things now.
Well, you're part of management, aren't you?
No.
No?
Well, I guess by default,
sort of.
Everyone is. So.
Maine Marin says, I made it my life's mission to make those pizzas after living in Chicago. Those big deep dish pizzas.
It was a good carb replenishment after racing.
Captain Nick. What are you up to, man?
I'm short and sweet. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I was just looking. Actually, no, I've done nothing. So next week, and I am doing nothing.
Okay.
So
I love it. I love the retired life.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't actually do the cover art.
He's really, literally not doing anything. Oh, you put you put the words on there.
Oh, I put the words. Yeah,
you did a little work.
I found her. Yeah, who did that cover art? Because it was very good. There you go, Sean did that. That was excellent. And it was all of us, isn't it? I mean, there's Steph there drinking whiskey. There's Jeff smoking a joint.
No, it's a cigarette.
I like that Jeff and I have our headsets on, like we're having some private conversation, or just tuning everybody else out, or having some private conversation.
That's right. Liz is helping me cheat.
Information.
Rick has put on a bit of weight there. Nick Camacho he's looking much fitter than normal. He's lost some weight, hasn't he? And
he's trying to catch up with us.
He's smoking so many cigarettes, he's lost weight. And I look like the most decrepit old pilot you've ever seen. So, and I've only got one card as well, which I think is a bit unfair.
That means you're about to
zero
win.
cards and like no chips apparently. So I think I've already lost. That's why I'm drinking.
Yeah, more. Well, that's why. Yeah, exactly. But it was a brilliant image. So, what's the point of me doing something? That was fantastic.
Well, I have to. No, go back to the big. Yeah, thank you. We were talking about this, Nick. It sort of looks like it's a cigarette you have in your left hand, but on the other hand, it kind of looks like maybe some kind of a U.S. Paper,
a rolled up bank,
rolled up to sniff things or something.
Perhaps,
inhale.
Perhaps I've been using that, but then again, when you're retired, you can do that sort of thing.
That's why you look like hell in this picture. Well, we do that.
Well,
it's
this
memories.
is an imaginary world, because I don't remember many cockpits where there's a glitter ball over your head, but...
Exactly. That's what I'm listening to. That's why I have my headset on.
I still had to hide the I didn't make a big job of hiding the show number, because it was there was already a 6 on that playing card there that... Is that you, Liz? Yeah, that's showing us. So the 6 was there. I put a 5 on that one, and I copied the 6 onto that one. So 656. That was the the
They're Acme brand playing cards.
Yeah, exactly. On that first playing card, there's an Acme
on that
logo.
card. 6. Move up your cursor a little bit. No. Right there.
Yeah, that's it. Well done. Yeah. You mean you didn't find that? I need to.
I did. That's the first thing I saw.
Get some new glasses. It's terrible. Why do I bother?
Well,
anyway.
I think also go back to the main photo, Liz. That everybody was drinking like regular beer. I was just having a small beer, I think, over here.
That was your miniature. You'd stolen off the airplane.
Oh, okay.
So you had a big beer and a miniature.
Okay. So I had a shot in the chaser.
I think it's probably a rum or something.
Oh yeah,
what
it
do
could
you
be.
Normally chase your beer down with.
Yeah, or you chase the beer is usually the chaser, right? I don't know. I don't know all this lingo because I don't drink. Yeah. Doesn't get any better than that. All right. Thank you, Sean McHale, again for submitting. You didn't realize it was going to be the episode artwork, but we decided to make it. We'll forward all the royalties that we get from
the
our
same
artwork.
Wage packet I do.
Yeah. Don't spend it all in one place. I have been doing my singing and my editing. The reason why Liz loves to say that, because I tend to add multiple syllables when I say editing. I don't know why. Doing all that stuff, I've sung in, I think last week I did one funeral mass. And then this week I did one earlier today and then one tomorrow morning. So doing a lot of singing. And but the good news is that I'm a big boy now and have real furniture, or almost getting there. So this is a picture of the area rug that was just laid down, and this is APG HQ. Let's see, you can advance to the next one, and these are the counter chairs that are up against the little counter in the other side's the kitchen, and the eating bar, I guess.
Don't you find the loudspeakers are a little bit noisy there?
I like to sit right there and just crank it up, Huh? So for those of you who have been to some of the meetups that we've had on location recordings and that kind of thing at Oshkosh and that bar that I can't remember the name of in Atlanta that we did a show, those are the loudspeakers, the monitors that I always take with me, and they've traveled quite a bit, and they also serve as like home entertainment stereo speakers for me. I had them on the stands in the living room, but I wanted to move them off because they were just like sitting on top. There's nothing securing them to the stands. How else is he going to get feedback? What do you mean? Oh, because of the speakers. Gotcha. Feedback. Ba-doom, bam. Nice one. Anyway, so I was imagining the workers laying down the rug and the other furniture items, knocking over these things, which would not be a good thing. So I moved them out of the way. Okay. Next is the sofa that goes along. And I think my designer did a really nice job of picking the different fabrics and, matching the colors and stuff like that. That the rug is from India and the sofa was made in Vermont. And then this media center that you see there on the, I was pretending that I was putting my legs up on an ottoman or propping them up on something, but they're just in the air because I don't have anything to put my feet on yet. So the speakers are on the stands, and then that's my media center, but it's missing something above, the top. Not for long. I just ordered today. In fact, before we started the show, I ordered my big screen TV, a Sony Bravia 7 from Costco, and that should be coming on Monday. So that'll be nice. I do need some things on the wall, and these things will probably be on the wall in my studio room, which I'm in right now. And so I opened up that box, and I knew that the 400 episode special artwork that Stephen Ivey was the project manager for, and did a lot of work on that. And all the stuff scribbled around the side are from kind of transposed or transported, copied onto the margins. And I think, was it somebody, one of his relatives, I think, maybe a niece or something like that, was the one that did all the writing on there. I was looking at it the other day, and they're all like in different kind of penmanship to make it look like they were, different people, different humans actually writing this stuff. But it's all, I guess he gathered all that digitally, and then he transferred it and put it on the so it really means a lot to me. That's a wonderful, and it's a picture of a 727, one of my favorite airplanes that I've flown in my career. 10 years on that thing, all three positions: flight engineer, first officer, and captain. Yeah, not those positions. And let's see, to the left of it is a photo of that one of the, I forgot who gave that to me. I'm sorry. Who? Yeah, I don't remember either, but somebody gave that to me as a gift. But it's the bottom side of the Mad Dog, or actually, I think it's a 717. No, I think it's a Mad Dog. I'm looking at it now. It looks like the engine nacelles are MD-88 nacelles. And Yeah. And then the one right ahead of it or in front of it is something that Natalie did, and one of my youngest daughter. And it's a sketch of a mad dog. There we go. A little modern looking thing. And and then the other item there is the I think one of my grandmothers, I think my dad's mother, needle pointed this Auburn University logo. Yeah, she had. No, she knew that there's no way I was going to be successful at Georgia Tech, so she didn't even try. She didn't even start. Yeah. So, that's my. Oh yeah, I'll have all the headshots of the crew and.
He's just going to do last week's show artwork as a poster. He's going
to I would love to have that I would love to actually. That's a great idea, Steph. I'm going to do it. You get those places you can do the canvas prints.
Yeah, I would pay for it.
I love that. That's a great idea. Maybe that's what I'll put behind the sofa. I've been thinking about what to put. Well, maybe not a huge one behind the sofa, but yeah. Well, let's see. What else was I going to say? And then the rest of the furniture is supposed to, like all the bedroom furniture is going to arrive like late May, early June, I think. So, but I'm getting there. Yeah, I've got my new mattress and box spring. I think I talked about that last time, didn't I? Yeah, I had the box spring. Yeah. So I'm actually getting farther and farther up off the ground as time goes on, which is a good thing because when you get to be in your mid 60s, if the mattress is like just barely above the level of the floor, you don't just like swing around and just pop up, or at least I don't. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to get on all fours and then push myself up.
Wrong kind of springs in the box springs. They're not spring
box springs are not. Yeah. Oh no, Liz did the swipey thing again. We hear her in Unity, our behind the scenes comms, but she's no longer in StreamYard. I know you guys can't see that, but we can, and we can hear her. We'll wait for her to come back. There she is. All right, coffee fun time. Here we go.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
Don't worry about it. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, yeah. Hey, look at that. Over here to my left, over my left shoulder, is the airlinepilotguy.com/coffee URL. That's where you can go to find out how you can become part of this wonderful group of folks who supports the show financially. A couple different ways to do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method, the OG. And again, Mazuz, Dr. Kareem, comes in with a very nice, generous donation that he always makes each and every month. And so thank you so much, Mazuz, for supporting not only our show, but several other aviation podcasts. So without your help, without the support of listeners, chances are, you wouldn't be seeing so many great aviation-related shows out there. The other way to support the show and be part of the Coffee Bar Club is to become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And we don't have any new patrons this week, but we have a big group of them that sign up to support us each and every episode. And we do thank you so much for that support, everyone. So, why don't you just join this wonderful group? I think you'll be glad you did, and we will too. It's time for feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, we have this audio feedback from Robert Thompson in Tucker, Georgia. And he said, Newish pilot upgrade priority optics. Huh? What is he talking about? Well, let's hear from Robert.
Hello, crew. It's been a while since I've done a audio feedback, but instead of typing this one out, I thought I would record it and send it along. This has to do with some recent union wins for the pilots, especially at American and Delta. This, I believe, has to do with deadheading pilots getting priority, and I forget the exact terms. I guess you gentlemen might know exactly how this works out. When a deadheading pilot, I believe, is in uniform in a lot of these situations, has priority over revenue passengers for available, first class seats. I actually saw this in a situation. A lady walked up to a flight and said that a particular person was not going to be taking a flight in first class. And I actually watched this in real time. The gate agent then radioed down to the other person helping board the flight and said, you're going to upgrade the pilot sitting in main cabin extra to first class, to which she said, okay. She went on the plane in front of revenue passengers and said, sir, come up a couple of rows from the first row bulkhead seat right into first class. I think you guys know me well enough. I don't try to stamp my foot a little bit, and this is a 1 hour flight. I don't try to stamp my foot a lot, but I'm pro-union. The unions fight for a lot of the stuff that has gotten out there, but I don't know that this was something that was all of the different feels are actually and situations were fleshed out on this one. If I were that pilot, that when I saw this go down, the optics of this, I would have said no thanks, give that to a revenue passenger. But a question about that situation: would the pilot actually be allowed to do that, or is he expected and kind of forced to take the upgrade in that situation? Again, with revenue passengers looking at this awkward situation that he's being placed in a seat above an upgrade list of 20 or 30 people long. So I wanted to share that because this is an interesting situation. I guess it's a little bit unique here in the U.S. and the way that the airlines, I'll say air quotes, sell elite status, through credit cards and all these other different ways. But I thought I would share the situation, and I think this is a new, union concession that has been won by the unions. And if you're hearing any other shop talk about this, from others in the field, again, love the show. Thanks for taking my recent feedback, and look forward to having you, take this and see what you think there. I'm sure, Captain Jeff, you're maybe I'll preemptively. I'm sure you're glad you're in the RV and not in some of these situations here. I'm glad you're enjoying your retirement. But again, thanks for taking the question, and look forward to the response. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Robert. I indeed am enjoying my time between the apartment now and the RVS. So the first thing I'll say is that you mentioned both American and Delta, and I'm thinking, I don't think what you witnessed happened on Delta, because when I was flying there, I retired at the end of 2023, our rules did not have the ability to be upgraded into first class. We did have the ability to, if we wanted to, within a certain time frame, move from the regular economy seating to Comfort Plus, which is kind of like the same kind of economy seat with a little bit extra room. Well, they've been calling it different things, Liz. I don't know what the latest branding is on that section. That's kind of like the in-between between regular economy and first class or business class. But at the time I was flying, it was called Comfort Plus. And I know in the international setting, they call it something different. Yeah, premium something or other. But anyway.
On American, it's main cabin extra. So
okay, that's what I thought so. I was going to ask Steph because he said main cabin. He used a term that I've never heard before. Yeah, and so possibly their contract now allows for that. And as I said, I wasn't sure because this would have been mid-contract negotiations or enhancements. And I'll correct you, Robert. If this is one of those things, anything that approves our contract would not be considered a concession. It would be considered the opposite of that, or enhancement probably, because a concession would be that we're giving away something to the company. But we do have that sort of little bit of a concession, or not, enhancement to move into the seats that have a little bit more, space, or the pitch, or whatever you call that. But honestly, I usually just passed on it myself. I would rather be, because it usually meant that I wouldn't be at a window if I moved to a Comfort Plus seat. And no, you're not forced to. Yes, thank you. I was going to get to that. You're not compelled to take the upgrade. And in fact, there were many times in my career where we had some irregular operations or maybe mechanical issues with an airplane or whatever. And, the company, per the contract procedures, were supposed to put us on the next flight, the next available flight, to get you back to your home domicile or your layover location. And the cases where this happened to me, that it was time for me to fly home, and they had me on a flight, and the flights were oversold or to capacity, and that would mean removing revenue passengers from the flight to accommodate the pilots. And I never, told the person that I was flying with, my first officers, you got to, don't do that. We can take the one after this one, or the couple of flights after this one, so that we don't, disrupt, the regular revenue passengers' lives and possible connections and all the ramifications regarding that. So I never, made anybody do that. But I myself would say, I don't really need to be home, by this time. And I think it would be a good gesture to say to the gate agent, that's okay. Don't put me on this next flight, because you're going to have to pull revenue passengers off of it and, make their lives miserable. I'll just take the next one. And I just hang out at the airport, because, I'm a pilot. I like hanging at the airports. Well, I used to anyway. I don't, not anymore. But
I think you have more to add from Brent. I have information about American Airlines specifically with regards to Robert's question,
just to be sure that something didn't happen mid-contract, I contacted my favorite first officer, Brent, now Captain Brent, has been for a little bit, and got to catch up with Brent and his family and current situation. And then I asked him, hey, we got some feedback, and this is the scenario. Did you guys get some kind of an improvement in the contract? And he goes, nope, same as it was when you were there. So there's no. Now I know there are a little bit different rules when it comes to international flying. If a pilot is deadheaded on an international flight, I think they can get, or the contract allows for them to have a business class seat. If I'm not sure about that, but I think that's the way it worked. But this is just a 1 hour flight, so it was definitely a domestic flight. So Steph knows more about American Airlines than I do. So,
and I'll tell you what my understanding of it is. This is from a conversation over a year ago with a friend of mine who flies for American. But my understanding is this is for specific situations. It's part of their new collective bargaining agreement or contract. Not even that new anymore. I think it's at least a year old at this point. It specifically applies to pilots who are deadheading to operate a flight. That if they are on that, so the flight that they're deadheading on, so not flying, not operating, if they're next, like when they get off of that flight, they're going immediately to operate a flight, then they are added to the top of the upgrade list. So if there is a seat available in the next better class of cabin, they will move to that seat ahead of a revenue passenger. American has a bunch of different upgrade possibilities, though. Those who have a lot of status with the airline often will get an upgrade cleared like 72 hours in advance. So if the flight's wide open and there's plenty of unsold business or first class seats, that doesn't change, because that only happens like within the 2 hours prior to the flight actually happening. That pilot who's deadheading in uniform to operate on the next segment on their roster gets added.
I could see that. They'd be more fresh, and they would be also closer to probably the door that they're going to use to get off the airplane, so they can quickly.
You're not going to sit and wait. And I've seen it happen once, and I fly with American Airlines a lot. So it's not like it's something that's happening all the time and bumping, revenue passengers who have spent a lot of money with the airline from getting their, upgrade award on a regular basis.
And I could see also the optics of the situation. And I think most, now, I can't speak for every pilot out there, but I think most of us, if we know that the optics are going to be bad, we're not going to do it. We're going to say, well, thanks, but I don't really need to. I'm going to have enough time to wait for the passengers to get off the airplane to make the next flight or whatever. But an hour-long flight. I mean, you're not getting any benefit really. And if you're in uniform, you're not going to be able to, drink cocktails you're not supposed to anyway. That would be very bad optics. So
it's just specifically that unique situation.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Well, Robert, I hope that, I don't know, Captain Nick, did you want to mention anything about that? Was that something that you ever encountered or have any procedures for on your former airline?
Yeah, a bit like Steph said. If we were on the rare situation where we were positioning out to do a rescue flight, say, so we were traveling out to immediately get on an aircraft and do a flight home, then yes, we would be granted. In fact, we would get a firm upper class seat if it was a long flight, because unless you had that rest period prior to, you're considered on duty when you're going to perform a flight in order to immediately get on an airplane and fly, and so you need to take rest in order to get sufficient duty period, that would occur. You get a flatbed seat and you'd be able to sleep on it if you wanted, but that was about the only time that we would ever get that privilege. Occasionally, I mean, our contracts varied as during the time I was with the company, but very often, if you might get a monetary payment if they couldn't upgrade you to the seat you were entitled to, but they certainly wouldn't displace a fare-paying passenger to do that. So that was the deal.
Very good.
Right. And, to Nick's point a little bit there too, this is the upgrade list. So the person who is on the list does not currently, they didn't pay for the full fare business class or first class ticket anyway. They just have status that allows them that upgrade privilege if there's a seat available. And then there's all kinds of rules about where people fall on that list. So it's not like someone's getting moved out of first class.
Right.
So
they just lost their upgrade.
They just lost their upgrade potential. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Somebody actually paid for that first class seat. I doubt that they're going to take them out of it.
They're not getting moved. No.
Yeah.
Kick them off. No, I get the feeling that perhaps the dispatcher knew the pilot and thought do him a favor, I reckon.
I think that happened in the past, quite a long time ago, but with the systems that are in use now with the U.S. majors, it's almost impossible to get away with doing those kind of favors because of the accounting of all the actions that they take. It's almost impossible. It's probably still
computer track.
Yeah, the computer trail or paper trail or whatever you want to call it is just it's too hard now to get away with something like that, which is a shame because I had a lot of gate agents that
were friends
and liked me a lot, but they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Next item from Phil. Okay. Phil Caruso. Hello, APG crew. I have a question on the DC crash between the Delta RJ and the helicopter. Nope. That was a American RJ and helicopter. There has been Much discussion about the discrepancy between the two baro and radio altimeters. All three were indicating different altitudes above the 200-foot ceiling limit required on outbound helicopter routes. My question is, what are the altitude deviation limits between indicators that would cause a return to the field for maintenance to check the pedostatic systems in this helicopter? Working for many years on commercial airliners and line maintenance, if I recall correctly, the company limit in our general maintenance manual for our fleets were about 20 feet on the ground to a specific altitude, and the spread got larger up to a cruise altitude and what I believe was 120-foot difference. Not trying to be Monday morning quarterback, but if you had this discrepancy, what would your actions be? Most aircraft have 3 pedostatic systems, so if there is a discrepancy between left and right, the standby system could be used to cross-check and point to the bad source side. Love your podcast with all the talent and experience the show brings. Oh, nice comment. Kudos to all for a well-organized, informative discussions. Well-organized, that's due to Liz, of course. But we try to pretend that we have experience and talent to talk about all these things. Anyway, he says, regards, Phil. Thank you, Phil. So I'm trying to recall the exact parameters, but I think between captain and first officer positions, I think a maximum of 75 feet. Does that ring a bell, that number? Not sure about that. But if it was anything that was even close to that, I'm sure that we would probably take the airplane back or actually would notice it before we even push back from the gate. That would be part of our pre-flight.
That limit on the ground sounds familiar for me, Jeff, because I seem to recall it was very small, 20 or 25 feet between our altitude and the airfield altitude. Once you're airborne, it does vary a bit more. You get a larger difference. And then as you increase altitude and the pressure drops and the magnitude of error is expanded because, of course, sensing very small pressure changes is a lot harder. It would get up. But what it would be for a military helicopter, I haven't a clue.
No idea.
And I suspect would be fairly broad since they were generally, they're doing pretty much visual flying almost, all their flying would have been done visually. Their altimeters would have really not been an essential part of their day-to-day kind of work. But there you go. I'm not familiar enough with what they did to know that.
Yeah, I'm not either. But, we have a lot of mechanics or people with A&P ratings and such that listen to our show. Yeah, we have a Black Hawk pilot. I don't believe that he is with us though today. That's a shame. He would have been able to give us that information. Yeah, UH Black Hawk. Maybe next time, if we remember, we can ask him and then maybe sort that out and give you the information on the next episode.
I have this information from the FAA publication that if the difference from the known field elevation and altitude read from the altimeter is plus or minus 75 feet or greater, the accuracy is questionable.
Yay!
So
the number's still in my head. Yes.
Referred to an appropriately rated repair station for evaluation and possible correction. And that's for IFR flight.
But then again, I'm not sure, if that restriction would apply to the military helicopter.
I don't know how it is for military. I'm not sure.
I mean, in general, they comply with
be pretty precise.
The rules I don't know. Good question though. Thank you, Phil. Let's see. The next one here is a fun one. Okay. This is Dominic O'Kelly. I bet he had a great time at St. Patrick's Day, huh? He said, this is something, the name or the title of his feedback, Chat GPT images of U.S. pilots. So apparently somebody put some prompts in for.
Oh, I've seen some of these. These are great. They do these for runners, triathletes. I'm pretty sure I know. I haven't watched this one, but it's been this theme recently. Go ahead. Yeah. It's quite funny.
that's why we got it, I guess. So, Dominic, we're going to go ahead and play this. All right. It might be the audio might be loud, so give me a second to adjust that if that's the case. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. There's an American pilot. Make him more American. Okay. So it's got a flag on his arm patch. Okay. More American. Okay. And then now it's yeah, and he's got a beard too, and a lot of stripes. He is the most American pilot of all time. That's the prompt. Okay, so looks like he's, I don't know what he's drinking there. Oh, these are going too fast.
More, just more. All caps exclamation. More flags.
Fireworks.
There's some fireworks, like a 747 with Eagles, the official role model of every
official
American.
role model of every American. He's got a big hamburger.
Got a cheeseburger tucked under his arm.
Cheeseburger. He brings freedom to all pilots in the world. It's white uniform, very nice.
Looks like a yacht captain.
He himself becomes freedom himself. This looks like an icon that you might see in a church. He wakes up from his nice nap. Looks like Santa Claus in a pilot uniform.
Still has the cheeseburger, though.
Holding the cheeseburger. He's dreaming
the,
of all these wonderful
He's
things.
sitting sideways in the seat there.
Well, probably because it's not an Airbus, so he had to move to the side so he could pretend like he was in an Airbus with a tray.
Right.
Yeah, got the fries and the Coke. Yeah. I mean, we can only do so much because it's going so fast to describe all the various iterations.
Just keep taking it to the next level of extremeness.
More American.
More.
I thought that was very funny. Very funny. Thank you, Dominic, for sharing that. Let's see. We're going to go on to this one from Pedro Tito, Madeira. Hello, Captain Jeff. Back again with some more footage from FNC, Madeira Island. What is that again? Funchal or Funchal? As always, wind there helps to show the need for more pilot skills. Yeah, lots of wind there. Frankly, I think automation is creating ever more children of the magenta. Yeah, don't get us started. Or it might just be another case of a Top Gun variant of it's time to buzz the tower. Okay, he's starting to give you an idea of what this video has to offer. Anyway, if sharing this kind of situation helps someone, it's well worth it. Again, that's from Pedro. And now I'm going to hope to find this video. And let's see here. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and when we first viewed this, we were almost thinking like this is AI. But then the more we started talking about it and viewing it over and over again, we thought, yeah, I think this is actually real. So we're going to go ahead and watch it together, shall we? It's kind of rolling out from a right bank. Now it's, you can tell the effect the wind's having because it's kind of moving, tracking sideways because of the wind. Now they're making a correction to align with the runway. Wings are mostly level. Looks like a decent rate of descent there for a 3-degree glide path. Coming in, you can tell that the winds are affecting it a little bit. It's kind of bobbling around a little bit. It's getting closer to the ground. And, it's kind of getting a little bit squirrely at the end there. And then they decide, nope, we're gonna go around and do a tower flyby. So they're climbing and banking to the right, out back over the water, and then eventually the gear is... Nope, gear's still down. At some point, I'm thinking they're going to retract the gear, maybe. There we go. Gear's coming back up. And they're going to come back around and try it again. Yeah, so that is the video. That was set. Oh, it was good decision making. You're right. Good judgment. Good airmanship to
good
abandon that
to
attempt.
Go around, but then I'm not entirely happy with the maneuvers he then flew. I thought that he put an excessive amount of bank on. I don't
think he used enough.
More bank, more go around.
So I just don't think that was kind of appropriate for an air transport aircraft, but he is.
Yeah, well, see, in the land of cowboys, that was nothing.
Because you look at the still that we've got in our show notes, he's probably under 50 feet with 30 degrees of bank on, I would say.
Yes.
I don't think that's appropriate. I mean, the point is to do go around safely. We all know that a lot of accidents have occurred during a go around, and just whacking the throttles up and heaving the airplane around the corner is not really a great idea. And I suspect he would have been told that by his chief pilot.
Well, if it were an American airline and the chief pilot would, had a meeting with that pilot, I think that it would start off something like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
nice job.
And why not? Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm just joking. Yeah, you're right. It was a little excessive. It was nice to watch. Yeah, that's for sure. But the point is,
since he's turning towards some very high light stanchions there,
Right. There was nothing, we have pretty good video there. It didn't appear that there was anything immediately conflicting with his ability to continue straight ahead for a moment, tracking the runway and then gain altitude. And
I mean, in our manuals in the Airbus, there is a minimum height at which you may start a turn after takeoff.
Right.
Same would apply to a go-around.
But this maneuver was not because there was traffic landing from the opposite direction that for some reason was not recognized until last moment and, required this type of maneuvering.
maybe it was all planned and his friend is in the tower and he goes, next time I come in,
it's time to buzz the tower.
I'm going to show off a little bit.
I know Pedro mentioned Top Gun. Is this our Val Kilmer?
Oh, that's right. Val Kilmer just passed away.
Memoriam. Yeah.
65. Yeah, look at that. That's talent right there.
That's the big trick. Yeah, exactly. In fact, it's a lot easier doing a go round backwards than it is forward.
Did you ever do the thing in the simulator where they put it on position hold and then you were like descending and climbing, but you're not moving laterally, but you are moving vertically?
Well, like a helicopter.
Like a helicopter. That was always fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So slap on the wrist, I would say, particularly if he hadn't planned to do that. He hadn't planned to use that amount of bank. And he was going, oh, I didn't really mean to do that, in which case you're just over controlling the airplane. Not good.
Well, let's see. Steep turns are what, 60 degrees a bank?
You can't do that. Well, yeah.
So it wasn't a steep turn, I can say that much.
Anything over 30 degrees angle of bank in an airline is aerobatics.
I used to do a lot of aerobatics when I flew. Which one to go
Especially
for
when
next?
you were taxiing.
Yeah.
Number 9. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. So Carl sent this in, and he says, "While I'm a firm believer in the superior Funyun model of safety, we wouldn't have that without Swiss cheese blazing the way toward understanding human factors and how accidents happen. Pour one out for Professor Reason." And I'm thinking, well, what is he talking about here? Well, it turns out that Mr. Reason, James Reason, what a great name, is the guy.
That's a perfect surname for someone who came up with a safety model. Like, let's.
It was very reasonable, I'd say. Yeah. He used the Swiss cheese to explain human error. He died at 86. Very recently. He said, mistakes happen, he theorized, because multiple vulnerabilities in a system align, like the holes in cheese, to create a recipe for disaster. The story of how James Reason became an authority on the psychology of human error begins with a teapot. It was the early 70s. He was a professor at the University of Leicester in England, studying motion sickness, a process that involves spinning his objects round and round and occasionally revealing what they had eaten for breakfast. Ew. One afternoon, as he was boiling water in his kitchen to make tea, his cat, a brown Burmese named Rusky, sauntered in meowing for food. I opened a tin of cat food, he later recalled, dug in a spoon, and dolloped a large spoonful of cat food into the teapot. After swearing at Rusky, the cat, Professor Reason berated himself. How could he have done something so stupid? The question seemed more intellectually engaging than making people dizzy, so he ditched motion sickness to study why humans make mistakes, particularly in high-risk settings. And it goes on. It's a wonderful article, and we'll make it so that our link will allow you to read it, because I think normally it's behind a paywall. Make it a gift to everyone. So everybody write Liz at Airline Pilot Guy, and ask for it. Just kidding. Yeah. Okay. So I'll probably just make a link to this particular piece of feedback on Evernote and that URL. But it's a very interesting article. And of course, we kid around. Of course, the Swiss cheese model is a much better model than the Funyuns, but we just like to have fun here. So yes, thank you very much for everything that you did.
Is there an American cheese that has holes in it?
Only stuff that's moldy and out of date.
Or like if mice or rats have eaten at it, they'd have holes in it. Or I guess you could, there's the American version of Swiss cheese, which is Swiss cheese that was made here in the States.
American
it's Swiss not really Swiss cheese. That's just like,
it's
sparkling cheese, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like champagne, like sparkling wine. You can't call it champagne unless it's from the Champagne district of France, I mean, you can call it. It's just you'd be wrong. Yeah, that would be, I hope we didn't insult the good Dr. Reason with our Funyun model. All right. That is it for this show. We're going to wrap it up by pointing you, as we like to do, to our website, airlinepilotguy.com. We'll make the short version of the outro here and just tell you to go to that website, check it out. I think you'll be happy that you did. And we're also on the social media.
Social media, the quick version here as well. Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. Airline Pilot Guy, APG crew. One of those things will get you to the right place. Yeah. And we'd love to interact with you. And if you want to kind of keep track of when we're recording and be in the live chat, which is a lot of fun, you should subscribe to at least Facebook and Facebook
X.
and X. We'll get you the right. Has Hillel made it to the new digs?
Well, he has, in fact. And the nice thing is I have 2 bathrooms here and 2 showers. So he's in the one I normally don't use. Hey, Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Well, come on over here and be careful. That wooden floor there is a little slippery. Okay, here we go.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel.
Where's the soap?
Soap dish.
Did you buy any for the second bathroom yet?
I don't even have toilet paper in the second bathroom. And then Steph will say, well, you don't even have toilet paper in your RV bathroom. I do now.
But you don't in your main bathroom now.
I do. In my main bathroom, I do have toilet paper there.
Well, you don't need it, though, now.
I don't really. Well, yeah, it's still, nice to. Well, I don't want to really get into it.
Device working, have you?
I do have a brand new bidet seat in the main bathroom.
He's a happy guy.
I am very happy, and I'm not going to go into it. But the second bathroom, it's like you walk in there and it's like you're in a cathedral, and all the reflections and reverberations, because there's absolutely nothing in there. No rug, no shower curtain, nothing. I'll get to it eventually, but it's just an extra
get a TV
room.
first.
Actually, sometimes when I'm here in the studio and I have to use the restroom, I'm thinking, do I really want to walk like all 50 or 60 feet over to my actual bathroom, or do I want to walk just the 20 feet to use that toilet over there? And then I'm thinking, it's probably good to use the toilet occasionally, right?
Every once in a
Flush it
while,
every
yeah.
now and
Operate
then.
those
Make sure things are working.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
less likely to leak on the floor.
Exactly.
Okay, let's wrap it up here.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing. Let's see. We also like to thank our producer, Liz, who does an amazing amount of awesome work for us in the background before we do the show.
Thumb up there.
Oh, yeah, look at that. I turned my reactions off. Well, yeah.
We'd love to get some feedback from you guys. If you've got some pressing questions, we'd love
Liz
it.
is putting out the feedback call to you. But otherwise, we'll just cover more news and talk more about ourselves, because we like doing that. And with that, we're going to... I also would like to thank our live chatters, our live audience that shows up each and every week. They're very loyal people, and we appreciate you guys and gals immensely. And with that, we're going to sign off by saying, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the airline pilot guy.
Good day.
I used to be such a good pilot till I started APG. I opened doors for little old ladies. I helped them to their seats. Airline pilot guy, I fly America. Oh, airline pilot guy, he can land in heavy fog. I got no friends 'cause I'm always flying. I just don't have the time. But I can land this old plane. I can land it just fine. Airline pilot guy, I fly